everybody, FrostyRandom here, and welcome back to another draft analysis. We're here doing our draft analysis for WPF's Delta Division, otherwise known as the World Pokemon Federation's Throw-It Battle with Singles Wi-Fi Upload Required Division. It's a mouthful, to say the least. We have a tremendous slate of coaches to go up against, for the season, including the likes of Gentleman Thomas, Dashy Sceptile, Spider, and more. Now, before we get into this, I just want to explain one thing before we start about this. That's just some of the rules we were given. We were given 110 points to draft total. This is a high-tier Terra format with free Terra and Terra preview. So I will show the Terra ban list on screen now, since it's short, and everything beyond that is capable of Terra in this league. Without further ado, let's start off big with our first pick and our first Terra captain, Archaladon. Let's start off strong. Very, very strong. This Dragon and Steel type being our first Terra captain allows us to start off with a very hard hitter backed up with great defensive utility as well, with Stamina as its main ability, but alongside Sturdy just in case you were too scared of getting one hit, but very much doubt that's going to be happening very much. With that great defensive typing, backed by the ability to Terra in a bad matchup, like say we're going against a team of many ground types, we can Terra into a ground resist such as grass, and we'll be in fantastic shape. Expect this to either be our team kill leader or very close to it, either second or third. With a bunch of notable moves such as its signature move Electro Shot, its stabs of Flash Cannon, Draco Meteor, and Dragon Pulse, and coverage such as Body Press with its own stamina ability in a combination like Mudsdale. We have like Thunderbolt, Aura Sphere, Thunder, and Earthquake if we want to go physical, and some utility in the likes of Stealth Rocks and Dragon Tail. With its notable items such as the Assault Vest, Leftovers, both Shuka and Chocolate Berries for the ground and fighting resist, and even Rocky Helmet in certain situations. We have plenty of tools to help us with our own bulk of 90 HP, 130 physical defense, and a kind of mediocre 65 special defense. With investment and that Assault Vest, we can start living an absolute ton of hits. Now, let's get a Pokemon that benefits Archaladon and way more than just typing. Let's grab ourselves Pelipper. Let's officially bring the storm. This Water and Flying type brings its Drizzle ability to our team, allowing Archaladon to fire off free Electro Shots without needing a turn to charge, as well as weakening fire attacks that are neutral into Archaladon to become resistant hits for damage. I'm sorry if you all hear that in the background, by the way. As well as weakening fire attacks. I think I already said that. I'm kind of losing it. As well as its own natural typing, bouncing off of Archaladon extremely well, taking the fighting type's attacks very well, and being completely immune to the ground type moves that Archaladon hates taking. This Pokemon won't be handling too much offensively, hopefully, but it should let our true offensive threats run wild on opposing teams. With notable moves for offense, if it does need to fire off burst damage, it has the likes of Hydro Pump, Weather Ball, that becomes a water type based 100 power move in its own reign, never missing Hurricanes and even Ice Beam, but for utility it isn't bad either. We have stuff like U-Turn, Knockoff, Tailwind, and even Chilling Water to lower an opponent's attack while getting Stab and Rain boosted, so it becomes a pretty okay powered move. Oh, and Roost for healing. Probably should mention that. Its most common item will definitely be the Damp Rock, as it extends rain turns for our entire team. But it has some other useful items as well, such as the Rocky Helmet, Heavy Duty Boots, the Wakan Berry to only take 2 times damage from electric attacks, and even the Choice Scarf on more offensive sets. But what's a rain team without a Pokemon with the ability Swift Swim? So let's fix that now. With Overquill. The only fully evolved non-water type Swift Swimmer is here, with its free evolution, Hisuian Quillfish, also having Swift Swim because it's a Quillfish. This Dark and Poison type menace of Hisui's Seas brings a Swift Swimming ability to our team to double its own speed within the rain that Pelipper sets, allowing it to become a very fast, very potent offensive threat within rain, while still having great potential outside of it with Intimidate and even Poison Point as its other 2 abilities. Now, of course, we do have Give me one moment here. Now, of course, we do have some very notable moves as this can go with, including the likes of Stab Crunch, Gunk Shot, Poison Jab, and Throat Chop. We have Liquidation and Aqua Jet as water moves that are boosted in the rain. We have Spikes and Toxic Spikes as great hazard moves in general, and Storage Stance to boost our attack within the rain. For notable items for Overclow here, with it being our second Terra Captain as well, we have Choice Band, Leftovers, Shuka Berry, Expert Belt, Assault Vest, Rocky Helmet, and Air Balloon. Of course, the Air Balloon and Shuka Berry for ground type attacks that could be coming our way. Choice Band for great all-out damage if we can't have a turn to boost up with Sword Stance. Leftovers for a more defensive set. Same with Rocky Helmet. Expert Belt just in case you want to get just in case we don't want to sacrifice our move selection for a boost in power to super effective hits. And then Assault Vest, just cause it's good to tank special hits if we need to go a more defensive set that could still work with Swift Swim or an Intimidate Assault Vest set. But next, let's get into our fourth pick of the draft, and it probably is a good time to grab a fairy, wouldn't you think? So let's grab ourselves Clefable. Clefable, always known since even Gen 4 as just a blob that can take attacks. And that's all we need out of a fairy type right now. And that's really all we're going to need out of a fairy type all season, so let's be honest. It doesn't have, when you look at its stats, it's like, oh, how is this thing known for taking hits so well? It has the likes of Unaware and Magic Guard to never take passive damage, and to ignore enemy stat boost, which allow it to take better damage, and if you invest within its stats, especially its HP, it becomes absurdly good at taking hits, especially with Unaware. Now, of course, we do have notable moves for Clefable here. We have the Stab Moonblast, we have the utility of both Wish and Healing Wish for healing, Stealth Rocks, Encore, Baton, Dry Baton Pass for pivoting. We have like Knockoff, we have Thunder Wave, we have Never Missing Thunder and Rain, we have Calm Mind for more offensive sets, and then Dual Screens and Trick. Now, we could bring this for dual screens and bolster our offense even more, but let's go over the items to see what other items we have. We have Leftovers and Rocky Helmet for more defensive sets, Lake Clay for that dual screen set we could bring 1 week. We have Sticky Barb for the trick sets that almost definitely are going to be coming at least once in the season, because that's just a fun set to do. Then we even have the likes of Mental Herb to not get taunted at all. Q Charm is his last ability, by the way. Not gonna be doing much with that, but hey, if we think it's a good bring for a matchup, we definitely can do that. Maybe say there's a locked male Pokemon and we have a female Clefable. We could definitely bring that. Now next, let's get on to our 5th pick overall, which is Volcanion. Here's our Water Absorb mod. We could not get Ogre upon Wellspring. Okay, we could, but it would take sacrificing the end of the draft, and I like the end of my draft. So instead we have Volcanion. Designated Main Fairy Resist, and Designated Water Absorber. Two things I did need here. Now, Volcanion can also definitely be used offensively with the likes of its choice spec Steam Eruption in Rain. We of course have Stab for Flamethrower and Fire Blast, even Flame Charge. We have some coverage in like Scorching Sands, Earthquake, Sludge Bomb, and Sludge Wave, and obviously Earth Power. And then we have, you know, just some like a bit more utility in like Will-O-Wisp, and then Overheat if you just want to nuke and damage with like a spec set. Notable items for this mon, obviously the heavy duty boots, considering our fire typing we are weak to rocks. The Assault Vest, because 90 Spit Def isn't horrible, but compared to its base 120 Fizz Def, it is like a bit of a trade. We have Lefties, just in case we can get rocks away with our next pick, and in case we think that has a better bring than something like Boots or Assault Vest. We have Sugar Berry, just to resist ground attacks once again. Then we have the specs for the more offensive sets if we want to just fire free Steam Eruptions into the opposing team without having to worry about speed too much. But next, let's get into our 6th overall pick, and possibly my least favorite model on the team, but it fills a very needed role. We have Toadscruel. Yeah, we have the Mycelium Mike nerf, but that's not what this is here for mainly. We got this Pokemon mainly for Rapid Spin. But this Grass and Ground type allows us to absorb electric moves for free, be resistant to ground type moves naturally, and overall just beat certain Pokemon with their defensive typing, and with our 120 base WPF. Like any electric ground types such as Sandy Shocks do not do well into this. Of course, we have some offensive moves as well with Toadscruel. We have the likes of Leaf Storm, Earth Power, we even have like Sludge Bomb, Flash Cannon, and Dazzling Gleam. Even knockoff Hex and Giga Drain can do well. But of course, we definitely have its more utility-based move pool. We have the likes of Spore, Leech Seed, Foul Play, Spikes, and Toxic Spikes. You have Knock. You have You have Dual Screens again in Light Screen and Reflect, though Clefable is a much better option because these are going to be going last and return because of Mycelium Might, unless we get rid of our ability in some way. Of course, let's go over its notable items real quick. We have the likes of the Heavy Duty Boots, Assault Vest, Focus Sash in case we need to come in and take a physical hit, and that's it. We have the Yashi Berry, and then we have the Eject Pack for Leaf Storm and Pivoting. Not much else to go over with Toadscruel here, as it's a very one-role mon, but it's a role that we desperately needed within our team. Next, let's get a Hurricane Spammer that isn't Pelipper, because we need one. And let's get some more speed while we're at it outside of rain. Next, we have Iron Jugulis. A Pokemon I've wanted to use for a good while, and I am glad I was able to draft it here. Base 108 speed, that dark flying typing, very good offensively with base 122 special attack, great Hurricane Spammer, and just allows us to really do well with that speed tier, outspeeding everything outside, like a lot outside of Scarf, with that booster energy attached to it. Of course, for notable moves, like I said, we have the Stab Hurricane, but we also have Dark Pulse, Dragon Pulse, Earth Power, Flash Cannon, Flamethrower, even the likes of Snarl and Hydro Pump and Charge Beam for coverage. But this has very close to a Hydreigon type move pool, as it has a absolute ton of coverage that we can use to our benefit. We even have the likes of a Power or Meteor Beam set, or a Snarl set that to go past like a Spectrier substitute. Even like Fast Taunt and Fast Tailwind with U-Turn, just to really unleash something with this Iron Jugulis if we're not going to Hurricane Spam. But of course, let's get to its items. We have, of course, the Booster Energy, we have Choice Specs, we have Choice Scarf, we have the Heavy Duty Boots, and we have the Power Herb for that possible Meteor Beam set that could be brought in case they have like a Pyukumuku as their Electric Terrain center. Which there is a team in this league that does have that does have Pincurchin, so we could possibly unleash that set that week. But next, let's get into a Pokemon that really has a high base speed stat that allows us to really just pivot. Next, we have Hisuian Electrode. This mon is nothing but speed, and I didn't need anything else besides a Thunder Spammer. So here's our Thunder Spammer that's a Stab Electric that's also fast. I want to kill a Wattrel to fill both the Hurricane and Thunder Spamming roles, but it did get sniped for me as I picked Volcanion High, and I was like, okay, let's just get 2 Pokemon to fill out these roles. It will be alright. So we got Jugulis and Hisuian Electrode here. Another Pokemon I've wanted to use for a good while. I have some experience with it in competitive tiers like NU, back when it was still viable there. Of course, this is another one-trick pony type of mon, but its trick is that it's super fast and that it pivots really well. Of course, it doesn't hit too hard, but with the likes of a Choice Specs, or even just its high base power stab moves like Leaf Storm and Thunder, you're still going to be doing fantastic. But let's get on to the moves, shall we? We have Leaf Storm, Volt Switch, and Thunder for great powerful stabs, and Volt Switch for great pivoting. We have Taunt, Leech Seed, and Substitute and Thunder Wave for fast disrupting and fast, and just like fast health recovery. We have Discharge and Giga Drain for less powerful stabs, but a Discharge with its chance to paralyze and Giga Drain with its healing could be very good. We have a manual Rain Dance setter, that's super fast if we do need that. We have Charge Beam to boost our own special attack 70% of the time. We have Electro Web in case we need to lower the speed of a Regieleki or something. We have Electro Ball in case we want to just use our base power of max speed to go into it. Of course, we have Foul Play, Coral, and Coral Blast as well for 2 more moves. And Reflect, because it doesn't get Light Screen. I thought it got both, but it gets just Reflect, so it can still work. For notable items for Hisuian Electrode here, we obviously have the Heavy Duty Boots in case we're going to go for a pivoting set with the likes of Full Switch. We have the Choice Specs in case you want to just fire off free Thunders if they don't have a ground type. We have Eject Pack for a possible Leaf Storm Eject Pack set for pivoting as well. We have Focus Sash because this thing doesn't have defense. That's just straight up. And then we have the Light Play in case we do need to set up Reflex for a while. But yeah, that's, like I said, it's another one-trick Pokemon, but I think it does do that role extremely well. Now let's get a Pokemon that does a role we don't have yet on the team, and a role I think really needs to be filled as a great lead outside of Rain. Next, we have Cobalion, bane of Gentleman Thomas's existence for its Body Press set, unleashing a P4G. Hi Thomas, how you doing? But we have the base 108 speed Cobalion. I say base 108 speed because it's speed type Shogulus outside of items and outside of the Warp Drive if it goes for max speed, which is very great for its stat spread. Sure, it has meager 90 in both attacking stats and 72 speed def isn't that great, but this thing isn't here to unleash full-on offense a lot. It is here to really be a lead, a possible stealth rocker, and stuff like that. But if we do go offensive, we have stuff like Sacred Sword and Iron Head, as well as even some pivoting like Volt Switch. We even have special sets that use stuff like Aura Sphere, Air Slash, Vacuum Wave, and Flash Cannon. But we also have like the Iron Defense Body Press combo, close combat for a better fighting stab if we're gonna go physical, and even stuff like Upper Hand and Taunt for possibly stopping Sucker Punches and such. Even though we get the justified boost out of the Sucker Punches, and Taunt is just very fast Taunt lead. Base 108 is still a good speed tier nonetheless. For notable items we have for Cobalion, we have stuff like the Leftovers, obviously. We have the Assault Vest if we want to go for a 4 attack set. We have the Rocky Helmet if we want to be defensive, the Shuka Berry to be neutral to ground, the Air Balloon to be immune to ground until we're hit. And then even a Weakness Policy set, in case we think we can be defensive enough to go for that. Invest enough bulk in that, we can go for like a Calm Mind or an Iron Defense or anything like that to really boost our damage output or our defensive capabilities with Cobalion here. But with that, let's get into our next Pokemon, and Jesus Christ, this team is really getting scary now. Our next pick, our 10th pick overall, Araquanid. Yeah, we're getting Araquanid in Rain. So I was like, okay, what makes this team even worse to deal with offensively? I know, Sticky Webs. What's the best Sticky Webber in Rain? I know, Araquanid. Funny Araquanid button, otherwise known as Stab Liquidation in Rain. Sadly, this is not one of our Terra Captains, as that would require me sacrificing Overpull as a Terra Captain to be a Terra Captain. But if you can slap Terra onto this thing with Terra Water Calcs, that's fucking hilarious in my opinion. But of course we have the obvious Sticky Web as that's going to be its main role. And its attacking stats don't look like it's going to do great, but with its Water Bubble ability, all that is going to hit hard on either side, because it's basically 2 times damage on water attacks. And in the Rain, which is basically another 1.5 times multiplier, you're basically hitting water type damage for about 3 times as much as you usually would. Or something like that with math. I'm not good with that, off the top of my head. But let's get into the rest of the notable moves for Araquanid. We have Stab Liquidation, Stab Leech Life, Infestation for a trapping set. We have special stabs such as Surf and Hydro Pump. We have stuff like Crunch and Crunch, Giga Drain, and Poison Jab for coverage physically. We have Lunge just in case we need to lower their attack. I believe Lunge is. And then we have like Manual Rain Dance. We have Iron Defense in case we want to go with a really tanky set, and combine that with like Mirror Coat, as Mirror Coat allows us to do damage back to them based on how much they did to Araquanid. And with his base 132 SPDF, it can go kind of crazy with that. I've used Mirror Coat as a lead, as like an anti-lead versus Volt Switch mons in like Nakex RU, and it goes absolutely insane into that. I know base 42 speed is the slowest Pokemon we have on our team, but that's fine. This is not meant to outspeed anything. It's meant to take hits and hit hard. And its stats don't look like it does either of those too well, but it does a lot better than you think. Now let's get into our last pick overall. And we have one Swift Swimmer. Why not grab another, and one that's like the poster child of Rain Hyper offense in some of the lower tiers? Lastly, we have Basculegion. Now you'll see I have two sets of stats on this slide, and that's because with drafting Basculegion, I didn't draft a specific form. I was able to get both forms. And now what getting both forms allows me to do is pick a form based on the matchup for that week. If you want to go a more physical set, we have Basculegion Male, which is 112 physical attack. If we need a special set, we have Female Basculegion, which has a base 100 special attack stack compared to base 80 for male, and 92 physical attack compared to base 112 for male. Of course, this allows us to be surprisingly versatile in our offense, as I only have male on screen for the animation, but this allows us to really pick and choose how our matchup wants to go and how we want to support Basculegion here in or outside of rain, because Scarf adaptability is also extremely potent. Of course, we have the notable moves such as Stabs for Wave Crash, Flip Turn, Phantom Force, as well as Stabs for the special side, and Surf, Hydro Pump, and Shadow Ball. We have some coverage in Psychic Fangs, Ice Beam, Crunch, Outrage, and Ice Fang. We have Aqua Jet for Bandit and Rain, and then we have Agility. Ubers is crying at the fact that Agility Basculegion exists with Last Respects. Thankfully, Last Respects is banned here, so I don't have to spam that versus my opponents. I don't want to, because I don't want to win 1-0 those weeks. Which means our Ghost Stab for the physical side is going to be Phantom Force, which sucks because this is a Terra Captain. Would be fantastic with Terra Ghost to be offensive, but I digress. We cannot get that as well. Possible for great, like a bunch of these Pokemon could be great Terra Captains, but our child on Overquill, I'm perfectly happy with them as my Terra Captains. Now, I thank you all for watching the video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more videos for week 1 of WPF versus Muffins. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.